I wanted to share this kind of snazzy little trick, how to join your binding in a way that it kind of just tucks and there's no raw edges. You don't have to fiddle with this at the sewing machine. You're able to just kind of tuck it and move on. And so here's a quick look at how we do it. The first thing you're going to do is take your binding strip, and mine is already folded in half, but I'm just going to open it up so it's laying flat, and I'm going to put the 45-degree angle of the ruler on the bottom part, and I'm going to trim this off following that line. With that done, I'm going to just fold this over and line up the raw edge of this newly trimmed line to the edge of my binding strip. So I'm going to fold this up and it'll just make a little bit of a triangle. What it does is it gives us a fold line on this edge. Then I'm going to fold this again back in half like a regular binding strip, and I'm going to give this a really good press. Now that I have it pressed, let me show you what this looks like on the other side. So I've got a folded edge on this side, and when I flip it over, I have this little pocket on this side. And again, it is folded. There's no raw edge showing at all. So when I stitch this down to my project, so the first thing I'm going to do is just stitch my binding to my piece that I need bound. So pretend this is like my mini quilt or hot pad or whatever else I've got going on. I am not going to start at the end here. I am going to go in at least like 3 or 4 inches in, okay? And then I'm just going to start sewing my binding to my piece. So I've got both of my pieces sewn to my project. I have started way back here and left a long tail, and I've continued around my project and I stop prior to getting to this point. So I've got a long tail on this end. What I'm going to do is open this up, and we are going to just place this piece right inside. Now, there is a lot of fabric here, and we don't want to double up our fabric all the way along here, so we can go ahead and trim this off. I do trim it past this angle part because I don't want anything to show right here. So if I cut it too short, it might show on the other side. So I'm going to come in a good like 1.5 to 2 inches in. And what I can do is, because it's already folded and pressed, I'm just going to be cutting it kind of at a point. So just trimming it off. And then I'm going to make sure that my edges stay lined up. I'm going to tuck this right in. And then you can kind of play around with this because you need this to be a correct length. And so you'll want to make sure this piece is laid down properly and this piece is pulled up. There aren't any gaps. We're going to tuck and pull all of our edges together. So all of our edges line up with the outside, and then we are going to pin or clip this down. Take this over to the machine, and we are going to just continue finishing attaching our binding to our piece. All right, I've got this finished. So I have my tail tucked inside. I finished stitching my binding all the way along the edge. Now I'm just going to follow the same instructions that I usually do. Pull this to the opposite side and sew this down. Now, as you can see, this is open. So if you want to, you could hand stitch this opening down once your project is finished. So I would finish the binding first. So you fold it over, and obviously I don't have a proper piece here, but you fold it over, stitch along the edge just like you would a normal binding, or hand stitch it. When you get to here, if you're hand stitching, you can travel along this seam line to close it, Or if you're sewing it by machine, just continue and then go back and hand stitch that down. So that is how you do that fancy little tucked binding. And it saves you a lot of auditioning, try to get it right. Maybe it's pulling, or you cut the wrong angle. I've done that as well. This just allows you to tuck one end into the other. There's a nice finished folded edge on there, so you don't have any strings or issues with that you can just later on close by hand. Hey, it's Becky from Patchwork Posse, and I don't know about you, but sometimes binding drives me crazy. I cut the wrong angles when I'm trying to sew the last end to the beginning of the binding. I get all confused. Maybe I wrap it, twist it, or whatever. So today I'm going to show you how you can make your own binding kind of with the tuck method that is super simple and allows you to get your binding done quickly without any problems.